A couple days ago, we did a video where we just really appreciated where the Baltimore Ravens are at right now with their wide receiver room heading into the offseason, because we're not used to this. We are used to just the Ravens having so much unknown at the wide receiver position, just having so much question marks at the wide receiver position. And we do still have a little bit, but more so when we talk about wide receiver 3 and 4 and so on and so forth. But for our sort of 1A, 1B type of thing, we know who our guys are. So I was just commending that. I was very appreciative of that and still am. But at the same time, I guess I got a little caught up in the moment because there's something significant that I forgot. And we got a reminder of that throughout this season, but also in the playoffs. And that's stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. But what are we talking about? Well, we're getting ready to go over that real quick. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and leave a like on the video so you can stay up to date with everything going down with our favorite football team, the Baltimore Ravens. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Team, keep it clean. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now, with Rashad Bateman, we know Rashad Bateman in previous years, they have been riddled by injury. He had missed significant amounts of time due to injury. And it was very, very unfortunate because you're like, man, I remember when we drafted Rashad Bateman, I was so hyped. I was so happy. I was jumping up and down like, yeah, because that's the receiver who I wanted the Baltimore Ravens to get. And they got him. Stuff like that, it just doesn't happen that often where you really, really want your favorite football team to get a player, and that ends up happening. But it did with Rashad Bateman. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. That's the one. And with Rashad Bateman, we know how his career arc went. And of course, this year was his best year ever. But we did still, throughout the season, we did get reminders with Rashad Bateman with the injuries. Now, they were not significant injuries, but there were a couple times when Rashad Bateman ended up leaving the game to never return. Obviously, the one that was highlighted the most was the Eagles game, because that's when all the Deontay Johnson stuff happened. And it's like, man, right when the Ravens are in stay ready so you ain't got to get ready mode, because they brought in a third receiver who had previously been a number one receiver with the Steelers some years ago. But they brought him in, and it was like, all right, we got Rashad Bateman, we got Zay Flowers, and now we got Deontay Johnson. So just in case anything happened to Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, we got Deontay Johnson, so we're going to be straight, right? And then, well, you know what happened with that. But Rashad Bateman left that game against the Eagles and never returned. And then even more recently, against the Bills in the playoffs, Rashad Bateman left that game and he never returned. So while Rashad Bateman did not have an injury-riddled season, we still got a couple of reminders like, hey, like, it wouldn't be so bad if you had somebody else here too to be sort of that third receiver. I wouldn't even mind like a 1A, 1B, 1C, or even a 2 receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. Because think about it. Like Rashad Bateman, he still deals with injuries here and there from time to time. But then you even got Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, who has been very, very healthy throughout his career. I know it's only been 2 years, but still, he's been healthy. I don't think Zay, before this year, I don't think he missed any time. I don't believe. But then he got the injury this year in the last game of the season. So it was like, oh, man. So he left that Browns game, and then we were thinking, okay, well, he walked off. It shouldn't be too serious. He didn't play against the Steelers. And you're thinking, okay, we beat the Steelers without, okay, we should be straight. But then he didn't play against the Bills either. So Zay Flowers was out. Rashad Bateman, he ended up getting out later on in the game. And Ravens, they faced the situation that you never want to face, being without your top 2 receivers in a game. And we know stuff is going to happen. We know injuries happen. We know it's unfortunate. Guys get tweaked up, banged up, all that stuff. So while I am very happy with the Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, and just to be able to watch their growth and their progression over these past couple of years, I still think the Ravens, they could still do something there at the in the wide receiver room to add that big body wide receiver, that home field threat wide receiver, that deep threat wide receiver, somebody who's all-in-one with all 3 of those things, because that would be the perfect complement to a Rashad Bateman, to a Zay Flowers. But then on top of that, again, you're staying ready so you ain't got to get ready just in case because you never want to be in a just in case situation. But see, this is why we buy insurance. This is why we buy insurance. We don't buy insurance because we're like, oh yeah, I anticipate getting into a car accident on this day and da. No. You don't buy insurance you buy insurance so you can stay ready, so you ain't gotta get ready. So just in case something does happen, it's like, oh, okay, it's unfortunate, but ended up having it covered. So now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the patrons, you can send your question in a DM directly on Patreon. First question came from my guy, Noah. He said, what's up, Ingravenvids Team? Keep it clean. What's up, Noah? He said, here we are in the offseason. We all know how it went. The team gave it their best shot, but it didn't work out this season. On to the next one. Seems a lot of people want to add another wide receiver, but there is a problem with doing that. Oh, okay. Let's see who my guy Noah getting ready to say. He said, the Ravens rank number 5 in the NFL for the amount of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends and 2 wide receiver play formations, and have the number 1 EPA in the NFL for that formation. Okay. So he's saying, like, look, when there's 2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends on the field, Ravens rank number 1. They do it the most, or they do it the 5th most, but they rank number 1 as far as the EPA in that formation. So sounds like his argument is going to go like, hey, another wide receiver? No thanks. Just keep it how you got it. But anyway, keep going. He said, on the opposite end, the Ravens are ranked last in the NFL for 11 personnel, 1 tight end and 3 wide receivers formation percentage. Okay, he got some data backing up what he's saying. Okay, I like this. He said this means that Todd Monken would have to entirely restructure the offense to add another wide receiver. If we do plan on adding another X or Debo type player, I think the first thing we would have to see is them not re-signing Pat Ricard, just due to the amount of players on the field. But if we trade Ricard, then we can't run any I formation plays for Derrick Henry. So I think we might see that after Henry retires. Oh, you're talking long-term plans. Ooh, I love how you are presenting this information. Because you bringing up the numbers. You like, hey, this X, Y, and Z, and this is why A, B, and C can or cannot happen, or should not happen. I like this. I love this, actually. He said the only other realistic avenue we have to add another wide receiver is to trade Bateman or Zay Flowers. Personally, I would go the trade route, but I would trade. Boy. Let's this guy. Oh, he said the only other realistic avenue we have to add another wide receiver is to trade Rashad Bateman or Zay Flowers. Personally, I would go the trade route, but I would trade John Harbaugh and Rashad. This guy, what are you doing, man? All right, he said, but I would trade John Harbaugh and Rashad Bateman for Mike McDonald and the DK Metcalf. Come on, man. What are you doing, man? But no, that's a good point about the 12 personnel with how much the Ravens run that and how little the Ravens would be running 3 wide receiver sets. And I get what you're saying. I get it, and it's a really, really good point. What you brought out about Pat Ricard, and just the way that the Baltimore Ravens play the game, just the way that the Baltimore Ravens deploy their offense, especially like them I formations. Hey, you know that they killed that last year. They definitely did with Derrick Henry. I mean, they killed a lot of running game last year because he got 1,900 yards. So yeah. But that's a really good point. I still think that's where it gets tricky, man. Especially with how you presented all this information. I love it because now you got me thinking like, oh yeah, but again, the playoff game, the playoff game, and then some regular season games too, when Rashad will go out to sometimes he returned, but sometimes he wouldn't. It just makes you wonder, like, all right, who we got up next? Who we got up next? And will the Ravens bring in another number 1 wide receiver? Probably not. I wouldn't be mad if they did, but probably not. But you still, in my opinion, you still have to upgrade the wide receiver who is behind those guys, who is behind the Rashad Bateman, who's behind the Zay Flowers. Just and again, it ain't gonna be no wide receiver commanding all this money and but somebody who, in my opinion, has been out there a lot as a number 1 guy, somebody who has that experience, and somebody who you can rely on just in case you do end up getting put in that situation. But man, I absolutely love how you presented everything, because everything that you said, it makes sense. Next question came from my guy DP2. He said, "Engraven peace and blessings to you, your family, and all the team. Keep it clean. We appreciate you, my friend." He said, "Here's my long question. In your opinion, was the Eagles D-line really that great, or was it the revelation that zebras were not protecting Patrick and the flags not flying for roughing the passer, which allowed them to play football in a manner Patrick has been protected from in the past?" Both. Because was the Eagles defensive line really that great against the Baltimore Ravens offensive line? Yes, they were. They are a very dominant defensive line, and when they get rolling, they get rolling. We've seen it up close and personal. We've seen it firsthand. So yes, but it was a combination of both, because all the flags weren't flying like they normally do for Patrick Mahomes and them Kansas City Chiefs, which, man, look, I always say the worst part about football is injuries, which I think it still is, but the second worst part is just officiating, the refs just having so much control over the game. But I just wish it could be fair. But anyway, he said, "I'm sure, like myself, football fans who have seen KC games scanned our TV screens for that yellow flag every time Patrick got hit." Oh, you already know. He said, "If Patrick has to play on a level playing field as Lamar and most other QBs, I believe we may have seen Patrick's last Super Bowl appearance for the next few seasons." Look, I can't deny that at all. I really can't. I think you are spot on. If we were to see that, though, like Patrick Mahomes on a level playing field with everybody else, oh man, that would be great to see. He's still a great quarterback, obviously, but that would change so much. It really would. And he said, He said, "P.S. Look out for Josh Allen protection to begin." To begin, you mean to continue. Next question came from my guy Javo. He said, "What's up with this Bleacher Report update? They need to go back to the original format." Oh, okay. Look at my boy staying up to date with Bleacher. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Y'all make sure, y'all follow us on Bleacher Report. So, because we stream on Bleacher Report every single Wednesday, even in the off season. But anyway, I appreciate you, Javo. Thank you. But they'll get all the kinks and stuff worked out with that. He also said, "How would you feel about Joey Bosa from the Chargers?" I seen a little report that he could possibly be cut, but they said the same thing last year about Joey Bosa. So I ain't holding out hope. I don't know if Joey Bosa will fit in with the Ravens, though. It's like, because the Ravens, their starting QB is Lamar Jackson. Their receivers, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, they got Derrick Henry, Isaiah Likely, tight. I don't know if Joey Bosa. He said, "I heard they might be cutting him, but his availability is not always available." Oh yeah. I don't. Yeah, good pass rusher, yeah, but I don't think he would fit in well there. This question came from my guy Stefan. He said, "What's good, my guy? I pray that heaven is smiling on you and the family. You're always on point with the news on the flock. Thank you." No. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. He said, "I'm back with the news on Micah. We got to make this splash. The Cowgirls need an interior lineman and a running back. As I said in my last email, trade Matabike, Keaton Mitchell, a first and a fourth." Oh, my goodness. Can we do something else besides Matabike? Because I would love them to pair Matabike with a Micah Parsons. That would help both of them out a lot. And then we would still have Travis Jones. Now, if you're talking about if they need an interior defensive lineman, then I would hate to trade Travis Jones, because I love Travis Jones, but I think it would be Travis Jones. Well, Michael Pierce, too. That's another one. Is Michael Pierce still under contract? I think he might be. So if I had to go down the pecking order, I mean, I don't want to get rid of nobody. But if it had to be done, then I would say Michael Pierce and then everything else that you said. It would suck to see Keaton Mitchell go. It really would. And it's only been 1 year. Because I was going to say the Ravens just, they couldn't figure out a way how to use him. And again, I'm not necessarily mad at them for that, because they had a Derrick Henry who was amazing. They had a Justice Hill who was amazing. And you don't want to force somebody, especially when those two are working so well. You didn't want to force Keaton Mitchell, but they couldn't find a role for him. They couldn't find a place for him. So they're like, "Hey, we're going to get you on the field. All right, kick returner." So that he did solid there, but they couldn't find his footing. So I would hate to see Keaton Mitchell go, though. Oh, I would hate to see it, because, oh man. But anyway, He said, we have 11 picks. We should be aggressive with them. How many times will we have the chance to grab someone like Micah Parsons? He's a generational talent. Pairing him with Roquan Smith and Hamilton on defense is pretty close to the days of us having T-Sizzle, Sugar Ray, and Ed Reed. It's similar, pretty close. They're just different players than those other guys. I get what you're saying, though. Like having that trio. They had Lodi Nada, too. But they having that trio, like Terrell Suggs, then Ray Lewis, then Ed Reed, then it'll be Michael Parsons, Roquan Smith, Super Duper Kyle. So I get what you're saying, though. He said that's a dynasty. Oh, there go that word again. I can't mess with it. I can't mess with that word. But anyway, he said also having superstars on defense to match Lamar, the King, and Zay on offense. That's cray. He said we can make this happen, EDC. You will definitely win us a Super Bowl and GM of the year. Let's go and hashtag Blackbird Bully Ball. Next question came from my guy Zega. He said, Grand Rising, my friend. I thought I pressed send, but I don't think I did, and I lost my question, so this is me retyping it. It was definitely an MVP award. When Lamar Jackson lost in the playoff, the topic was, it's Lamar Jackson to blame, rather than when Josh Allen lost, the topic was, do you feel bad for Josh Allen? That is true. I remember that. That was on the facility, I believe, with Emmanuel Acho in them. He said, this league isn't fair. They choose who they want to win awards and championships. Also, KC was supposed... He said also KC was supposed to win that game when the NFL was getting a backlash about helping the Chiefs. They changed the script. Ravens philosophy has to change. Next question came from my guy Manuel. He said, oh, a lot ain't Graven. It's been a while. Still love the content you create. Even if I haven't left a comment on your vids, hey, it's all good, my friend. I appreciate you. He said, after the ugly loss against the Ravens, after the ugly loss, the Ravens' flaws, it reinforced what I was preaching on my friend's group about the Ravens. Their bully philosophy is killing their momentum with Lamar Jackson so much that it took them 2 years to change the offense and a season to fix the safety issue that was glaring from the start. Another thing is they don't want to see that teams want to play against the bully because they know that, just like in real life, punch a bully in the mouth, he won't hit you back, and that has cost us games. So what philosophy do the Ravens have to embrace since yesteryear? The fighter one. Not your boxer, MMA fighter one. Let me explain. An MMA fighter knows how to adapt to the situation he's in. He or she not only knows how to punch, but also how to kick, grab, toss, and most importantly, how to win with whatever it takes with his skill sets. They are versatile, and with that, they can adapt to each opponent they face, even if their initial plan fails after the first strike. So how can the Ravens use this in football? Simple. Get young cubs involved in the game. They're hungry. They want to showcase what they have, so you as the coach can use them for their talents and can adapt later on in the game if the conditions merit it. Call garbage on play calling when it's getting cute. You're a pro. Pros don't get cute when executing plays. This ain't Madden. If a player is not playing at the level he or is expected to, or a coach is not telling them players what has to be done to get the dub, if the GM is not getting the players needed to get the Lombardi, then they have to be called for the garbage and be appropriately punished by it. You can still be a physical team this way, but you won't be a bully anymore because bullies don't adapt to their surroundings. They try to impose their will, but you can't do that every time, and life knows all about it. If the Ravens don't take this new philosophy or another that's not the bully mentality, then they have effectively wasted Lamar's years in the NFL for granted. Okay, well, he said that bully philosophy is killing it, and not the good kind of killing it. He said it's going to adapt, but adaptability is important. Being able to change your situation based off of what's going on, that's really, really important, especially in football. And I think that we've actually seen the Ravens do that. I think we've seen them do that. Again, they started off 0-2. Was not looking good, and there were some close games. None of them were blowouts, but it was just a little tweaking here and there that needed to be done. It's like, all right, so what do? They started winning. They went on a 5-game win streak. Their defense was terrible the first 10 weeks. And then it took some yelling, some arguing, some calling out, some cutting, but they benched Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson, and then get the game changed for their defense in a major way. They started off this season with Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson. Trenton Simpson, second-year linebacker, a lot of high hope for him. He was drafted to replace Patrick Queen in the event that they could not keep Patrick Queen. They did not keep Patrick Queen. They didn't give Patrick Queen a contract offer. Patrick Queen went to the Steelers and did his thing over there. So it was Trenton Simpson time. Trenton Simpson didn't look so good. What did they do? Boom. They benched him. And the linebacker play got a lot better as well. So I do think the Ravens have done some adjusting, done a lot of adjusting, actually. Some significant adjustments were made too. But you got to get a little better. And honestly, I think with the adjustments, the adapting, I think that that wasn't even why they were not playing in New Orleans this year. That's the big reason why, in my opinion, the adjustments and the adapting or the lack thereof is not the reason that they weren't watching Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show live. I think it's because of the turnovers. The Ravens, they didn't have a turnover for the last month of football. The last month of the regular season, they only had one turnover. Excuse me. They only had one. But then in the game against the Bills, they end up having 3 interception, fumble, and fumble. Yeah. So it's like, man, why now? And so, and again, I always say we could still use more playmakers on defense. We could use another playmaker, but still, that's the reason why the Baltimore Ravens, they were not playing on February 9th. That's why. Because they picked the worst time to be like, oh, you know what? Let's get these turnovers out of our system. And it backfired.